Hi guys, Bran here, and welcome to another video. Today we're not going to be doing too much of a commentary or even a rant video. It's kind of more of a ramble video. I kind of want to give you guys some advice because somebody asked me the other day on Twitch. They asked me, how do you have so much fun with Dead by Daylight? Because it just upsets me so much and frustrates me so much. And it was such a, we had a very, really long conversation about it. And I thought we had a good dialogue, a really, really good dialogue about, you know, why I continue to enjoy the game and kind of things that people do in Dead by Daylight that honestly make their experiences and feelings about the game worse that, you know, you have a lot of control over. So I'm going to talk to you about how I still enjoy Dead by Daylight, and the main thing that I do that keeps me happy playing the game, because obviously at 5K hours and making content for this game literally every day, I'd probably be the most susceptible to burnout. And honestly, I don't really get burned out in the game. Sometimes I get burned out in the community. Sometimes the community is blech. But honestly, the game itself, I don't really get burned out on that much. So I'm going to talk about why. So let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, this conversation opened on my Twitch stream the other day with, I don't get how you enjoy the game of Dead by Daylight so much. I don't know how you stay so happy playing the game because the game is so frustrating. Now, said player in mind mostly plays solo queue. Mostly plays solo queue survivor. And they are a very, very nice and kind regular in my stream that shows up all the time. And they often talk about their frustrations, like in live time. Like I'm getting a news report coming in. The ADA has left me on hook, you know, like telling me about their frustrating experiences and like match to match in my Twitch stream. And eventually I guess they had a really, really bad match. And they had just, you know, cracked and asked me, like, I don't understand how you enjoy this game so much because it seems so inherently frustrating. And one of the things I immediately covered with them was, hey, you're solo queuing, and that is the weakest form of gameplay in Dead by Daylight. You are literally the weakest role in the game as a solo queue survivor. 4-man Swift, strongest. And so everybody's like, oh, well, survivors, it's the game survivor sided. 4-man Swift on comms does not equal solo queue being strong. No. PvD is more like, it's not like it's killer better as a survivor better. It's kind of like a ranking system, right? So it goes like solo queue survivor on the dead bottom, the worst thing in the game. Then you have like M1 killers, and then you have like 2 or 3 stacks, and then some M2 killers are tied with the 2 or 3 stacks, and then you have like certain M2 killers are above that, and then you have like, you know, 3 or 4 mans but no comms, and then you have like the top 3, which is like Nurse, Blight, Spirit, and then you have like 4-man Swift, right? It's more of like it's a little bit more integrated than that. You know, it's not just killer sided, survivor sided, it's complicated. So I explained to them that they're playing the weakest form of gameplay in Dead by Daylight. So yeah, that's inherently going to be frustrating, especially if you care about victory. If you care about getting out, you care about winning. Yeah, that's going to be really frustrating because you're essentially fighting an uphill battle all the time. And I'm going to let you look you guys in the eye and let you know, I don't play solo queue in this game. I used to every Tuesday. Every single Tuesday on the twitch.tv/Mr. I used to play solo queue, and I did not have a good time. I did not have a good time. I did not vibe. I know there are people that do vibe, people that love solo queue. Honestly, I had a lot of fun matches playing solo queue just for the hilarity of how bad things could go. Like, it was just like, I can't believe they just left me on hook. And then sometimes I would have like the most cracked team ever. And it was really thrilling, exciting, because I just did not expect to run into it. There were probably a 3-man on comms, and I was just the odd man out, right? But like, I got carried by a really good team. And those instances are fun and funny to me. But like, for the most part, I would say like 70, 60% of the time playing solo queue, I'm having a bad time. So you know what I do? I don't play it. Yeah, I don't play it. Wild concept, right? Like if I detest a certain role in this game, with that being a solo queue survivor, I don't play it. I did the same thing with Adepts before they changed to Adepts. Adepts used to be you had to get 4 Eries. That was how it went. You had to get 4 Eries, which is way more complicated than just getting a 4K, which is what it is now. So people always ask me like, hey, did you do your Adept for this character? I'm like, no. And they're like, bro, you're a killer streamer. Why don't you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. It stresses me out, so I don't do it. And like, people had such a hard time like wrapping their brains around. They're like, bro, you gotta get your Adepts. I'm like, no, that stresses me out. And I don't like being stressed, so I'm not doing it. Like, there's something to be said for like challenging yourself every once in a while. And I would go for Adepts sometimes if I felt like it. But by and large, if it stresses me out, I don't do it. I don't know if that's just me getting older. I'm not getting any younger here, guys. But like, it's like life is a very finite resource. You know, some people live longer than others. Some people, you know, die normally. Some people, you know, have unfortunate circumstances that take them early. But life is a finite resource, TLDR. I'm not spending my lifetime being stressed. I'm not spending that finite time being stressed, especially in all things Dead by Daylight. If I don't enjoy solo queue, I don't play solo queue. If I don't enjoy adepts, I don't do adepts. But I find so many Dead by Daylight players feel like they have to play the game, right? Like they have to do this stuff. Like so many people talk about like, well, killer stresses me out, but then they'll play it anyway. Like if you don't enjoy the role of killer, don't play it. Or play survivor. Or they'll be like, solo queue is so stressful. And I'm like, then don't play it. Don't play solo queue. Don't do it. Only play if your friends ask. Make some friends and play with them, even if it's just a duo. Join a streamer. Join a streamer Discord. Hey, I do open lobbies every Friday on twitch.tv/TheMrHeadache. Every Friday is open lobby night. Come play with us. Oh, you don't have to be followed. You don't have to be sub. Just don't be a jerk to your fellow survivor. Don't be a jerk to the killer. Don't throw. That's it. Those are my 3 rules. And you can play with us every Friday. Until it gets too unwieldy for me to run an open lobby, I will run an open lobby until the end of time. As long as I'm allowed to. So if you hate solo queue, come play with me. Come hang out on the Fridays. But don't go into solo queue if you're upset and mad all the time and frustrated and you hate it. Don't do it if you hate it. And I feel like DBD players have such a hankering to push through the game when they're upset, when they hate it. And I think to a certain extent, I think streamers kind of propagate that mentality a lot. But let me pull you aside a second. If a streamer is having a bad day on the game and Dead by Daylight is their main game, some of them do this for a job. You know what I'm saying? Like some people, this is their career. So they kind of gotta, you know, like it's like work to them, right? Like if they have a nasty coworker that they hate working with and they have to work with them that day, they have to push through it, right? It's the same situation with the DVD content creator. If the matches are just bad today, you know, they just have to push through it because it is their job to play the video game and push out content. That is not your situation. If you do not make content for Dead by Daylight, there's no reason for you to push through that. There's no reason for you to do what those content creators do and push through it because you're not being paid at the end of the day to do any of this. You don't have subs on the line. You don't have subscribers on the line. You don't have followers on the line. You don't have anything on the line if you don't play the game. You do not have to push through like they push through because they're doing it for self-serving reasons. I don't mean that in a bad way. I want to make that clear. I don't mean that in a bad way. A lot of the time when people say for self-serving reasons, they assume it's like, oh, well, they're selfish. No, like they're doing it because it's in their best interest to push through. It is in their best interest to keep pushing out content because it's their job. You don't have that situation, so don't do it. The only thing you're doing by continuing to do things in this game that upset and frustrate you is kind of like wounding your own mental health, really. Like you're just stressing yourself out for basically no reason. There is no benefit. There is no self-interest for you. There's no positive for pushing through. And like I said, I think I brought this tidbit up in the beginning when I was talking about adepts. It's like sometimes challenging yourself is great. That's kind of what like the whole like match review thing is about that I do, is that like people aren't consistent yet. You will be consistent someday, but that's going to take some learning and it's going to take some, you know, exposure. Those are kind of the 2 main things that make you a better Dead by Daylight player, is learning what you're doing wrong and correcting those mistakes, and exposure. So like a lot of the things that are scary or stressful kind of become like, you do it so you repeat the situation. Sorry for bonking the mic. Repeat the situation so often that a lot of the stuff that you're stressed about, you kind of just start autopiloting in your head because it's not something you're actively thinking of anymore. So repetition and exposure and correcting your mistakes. So like there is something to be said for like pushing through that and getting through that hump and seeing the other side. There is that. But if the game stresses you out, don't do the things that stresses you out. Find something else. It could be even simple as like a character, right? Like I was in a situation the other day where I was, I'm a xenomorph main now. That's what I do. Just because the guy's gone up there doesn't mean like I'm not maining anymore. It's just I got tired of him. Like I noticed that like it was cool up there having him up there, but then like sometimes he would do that little like idle animation where he leans down and lets his little second mouth come out, and he'd like do that behind my webcam, and it was kind of annoying me. But I can put him back if you guys want to have the grid up there again. I was just annoyed in the moment. But like, you know, obviously Xenomorph is a very, very aggressive M2 killer. Very, very strong at loops. And anti-chase has just kind of like been baked in the game at this point. Like I pointed out in a previous video, last 4 years of killers have had some form of anti-chase besides Sadako. So like, that's kind of like the way the game has been for most of its life cycle, is most killers have a way to deal with chase. So like, people were requesting characters to me this one night I was streaming that were mostly M1 killers that didn't have a lot of anti-chase utility. And I was kind of like, I was kind of annoyed because I was like, bro, like this, you're gonna like go into like Eerie of Crows or like Borgo on an M1 killer, like I can win and I will win, but it's like I'm not having a good time. I'm just like, gosh, I'm having to work so hard because every time they do anything, they just pre-drop the pallet and they have 13 more pallets and I can't do anything to circumvent them. I just gotta eat this stuff. You know, it's like, it's pain. It's pain. So like, I mostly play M2 killers nowadays because like, well, maps are strong and, you know, I don't like being annoyed. All right. So I mostly play M2 killers. So it can be something as simple as that, just like playing a different kind of character that you enjoy more or has more utility to get around the things that you hate. But yeah, this video has been long enough. TLDR, what I want to say is, hey, take a look at your game. If you're frustrated at Dead by Daylight and you're upset with Dead by Daylight right now, are you doing something that upsets you? Is there like a role or character that you're playing that you don't like? For some reason, you just keep playing them anyway. Stop doing that. If it stresses you out, don't do it. If it stresses you out, don't do it. So yeah, that's my advice for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I know that was a little bit of a long one, but hopefully you got some good advice out of this. But I do upload daily, so I will see you in the tomorrow zone. But if I do not, I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.